Tragedy struck in the wee hours of Thursday morning as the entire football fraternity was plunged into shock and mourning as the news broke. As son of the sport, 28-year-old Liverpool and Portugal forward Diogo Jota and his younger brother Andre Silva passed away following a horrific car crash in Spain. Reports are that the forward was on his way from Porto in order to catch the ferry to return to the UK by boat to join Liverpool for pre-season training after undergoing minor surgery which prompted the doctors to advise him against flying. The crash is believed to have occurred due to a blown tyre which happened while overtaking another vehicle. Jota's death has sparked a number of heartfelt reactions across the football landscape. This is a statement from Liverpool. Liverpool Football Club are devastated by the tragic passing of Diogo Jota. The club have been informed the 28-year-old has passed away following a road traffic accident in Spain, along with his brother Andre. Liverpool FC will be making no further comment at this time and requests the privacy of Diogo and Andre's family, friends, teammates, and club staff is respected as they try to come to terms with an unimaginable loss. We will continue to provide them with our full support. Arne Slot, the current manager at Liverpool, says, "What to say? What can anyone say at a time like this when the shock and the pain is so incredibly raw? I wish I had the words, but I know I do not. All I have are feelings that I know so many people will share about a person and a player we loved dearly and a family we care so much about. Diogo was not just our player, he was a loved one to all of us. He was a teammate, a colleague, a workmate, and in all of those roles, he was very special. When the time is right, we will celebrate Jota, we'll remember his goals, and we will sing his song. For the time being, we'll remember him as a unique human being and mourn his loss. He will never be forgotten. His name is Diogo." And the former Liverpool manager says, "This is a moment where I struggle. There must be a bigger purpose, but I can't see it. I'm heartbroken to hear about the passing of Diogo and his brother Andre. Diogo was not only a fantastic player, but also a great friend, a loving and caring husband and father. We will miss you so much. All my prayers, thoughts, and power to Ruth, the kids, the family, the friends, and everyone who loved them. Rest in peace. Love." We're joined by SportsMax.tv chief content editor and avid Liverpool supporter Leighton Levy to discuss the heartbreaking news. Leighton, welcome to the show. But what a devastating start to the day that we had this morning. Where were you when you heard the news?
Funny enough, for the first time in a long time, I woke up beyond 4 o'clock this morning. And there's a message I sent to a friend about 1 o'clock this morning, and he responded and then added, expletive, Jota is dead. So I thought he meant something else, like he's going to be sold or something, because that was one of the big arguments this season. Whether or not Liverpool are going to clear house because they're bringing in a number of new players, and maybe Jota would be one of those to make way, given the fact that he's been injured so often, even though when he does play, he's been very impactful. And then I jumped onto Google and I searched, and the first thing that popped up to me, in fact, on my Liverpool app, the news was that Diogo Jota had died in an accident in Spain at about 6:30 Jamaica time yesterday evening, just after midnight in Spain, where this car tire, the Lamborghini blew out and the car flipped and then burst into flames, and he and his brother Andre Silva perished. It was, and this is hours later now, and I'm still trying to come to grips with the reality of it, because one of the things is that you follow teams. I've been following Liverpool since 1974, and you've gone through the Steve Highways, the Kenny Dalglishes, the Ian Rushes, the John Barnes, the Luis Suarez, and Fernando Torres, all of the greats that have gone through the club. And you never hear, or you hardly ever hear, of a Liverpool player dying in his prime. It's usually when they're older, or they're into their 70s and they pass, and that's understandable. But for a player 28 years old in his prime, and who has been a significant player for Liverpool for the past 4 years since he joined in September 2020, it's still very hard to grasp the reality of it all, and it's very sad indeed. And for Liverpool fans across the world, and not just Liverpool fans, for players and supporters across the world, actually. This has been a very tragic and devastating moment.
Leighton, I wanted to bring some clarity to the news surrounding this tragedy, really. The issue about him being advised not to fly and him traveling by boat to London. Can you, or to England? Can you tell me exactly those circumstances?
Well, as you know, Jota had some injuries and he had minor surgery in the off season. And he was, of course, on vacation. He just got married as well on June 22nd. And so, he's making his way back to the UK, but his doctors, because of this, I'm not quite sure what the circumstances were why the doctors would have advised him, because those are reports that we're getting that the doctors advised him not to fly. So he's driving to take the ferry, to go across, and the channel, of course, get into the UK when the accident occurred, and you know, it, it doesn't make sense in many ways, as Cristiano Ronaldo said, because normally you hop on a plane, you're within minutes, you're in the UK from Spain, and according to the reports, his doctor advised him not to fly on this particular occasion, which then results in his untimely passing. It just kind of feels like destiny in certain ways, because normally you take a plane and you're within the UK within an hour or hour and a half. I don't remember exactly what the flight time is, but the reality is it seemed almost as if he was destined to go on this day, because the circumstances under which he would normally get into England would have changed, which would have then opened the opportunity for death to creep into his life and end his life in this tragic way.
And Leighton, my heart goes out for everybody that is affected, but I think about the parents. I think about the parents who would have lost two sons at the same time. I just can't, even put into words what they would probably be going through, along with his three young kids as well.
Yeah, look, Maria, the parents will have lost two sons, and that in itself is absolutely devastating. It cannot be easy to lose two children at the same time. But imagine his longtime girlfriend turned wife 2 weeks ago, June 22nd, with three young kids. And now she finds herself, in the circumstance where she's going to be a single mother for, as long as life allows her to be that way. It's a tragedy right across the platform for every single member of that family, because the parents would have lost two kids, the kids would have lost a father and an uncle, the wife would have lost a husband and a brother-in-law. There is no easier way out of this. One way or the other, his passing and that of his brother is absolutely devastating for everybody who knows them, and especially those close family members who now have to find a way to forge ahead in life without two very instrumental members of their family. Diogo was a primary breadwinner for his family, and I'm sure Andre would have been similar for his family as well. And of course, the parents who would have been an integral part of their careers and how their development. Because when he just started to play, his parents, that's Diogo I'm talking about here now, his parents actually paid for him to play for a club. That's how invested they were in his development and his success. And for him now to be in his peak, where whether he was at Liverpool or not, he would have been thriving as a player, because he was lethal with both feet. He could score with his head, even though he's only 5'9". And he was a very clinical striker. So chances are, whether he was at Liverpool or elsewhere, he would have continued to thrive. He's a legend at Wolves, and he's now a legend at Liverpool. And of course, the club is thinking about immortalizing his jersey, because the synchronicity of it is absolutely ridiculous. He joined Liverpool in September 2020. He wears number 20, and he helped Liverpool to the 20th league title. It's all of these things seems to be coalescing, converging on this moment where his life would have ended for him to become a legend in this very unfortunate way. It's unreal. It's very surreal for people like myself, and I'm sure other Liverpool supporters across the globe.
Yeah, and I just think anybody who follows football and loves football would feel it, because I'm not a Liverpool supporter, but I'll tell you, Leighton, it felt like I lost somebody that I knew, especially because, you look at the players week after week, and you mentioned some of his, accolades for Liverpool, but just him on the pitch, the energy that he brought, and then you listen to his managers and his former manager talk about what he brought to the Liverpool team, that would no longer be there. And then I think about, Liverpool now trying to get ready for the new season, knowing that, one of their players lost their life in such a tragic way. I can't even picture what would be going on in that dressing room.
It has to be crazy, Maria, because I follow literally every single Liverpool player on Instagram or social media platform somewhere. And often they post these reels of them interacting behind the scenes at Anfield or at the training center. And Diogo Jota is always part of what has become a staple now. These very funny moments. People laughing all the time. They're running jokes all the time. He was well loved within the club itself. So it has to be a very difficult moment for them. And I'm sure now the leaders of that club, the Mohamed Salahs and the Virgil van Dijks will have to find a way to use this moment as some kind of impetus going into the season where they'll be defending the Premier League title and trying to go for more titles. Because, as you know, they've brought in a whole bunch of new players, Kirkes, Wirtz, and of course Frimpong and others to come. And there was a sense that this was going to be a very, very defining season for Liverpool with all these new signings, over £200 million worth of signings so far and more to come. And so the leaders, I believe, will have to find a way to use this as energy to go on and do this for Diogo Jota, because he was such an integral part of the team, not just on the pitch, but also in the chemistry that existed off the pitch as well.
Yeah, and I can tell he also had chemistry for his national team, Portugal. We saw Cristiano Ronaldo making those comments, of course, sending strength to his wife Ruth and his 3 kids, and of course the parents of Diego and Andre. But, you think about 49 caps for Portugal, just one more to get 50. His contributions for the team, the fact that, he played in the competition recently. I feel like, Leighton, this just feels like it's a nightmare and we're asleep and we're going to wake up from it.
Yeah, I'm sure that a lot of people feel that way, Maria, because remember, he just won his second Nations League title with Portugal. After Liverpool won the Premier League title. So he was on a high. You win the Premier League title, you win the Nations League for a second time, you just got married. So in some ways, it almost seems like the only way from this was down, and this is some tragic way to go down, because he was on a high in his profession and in his life. So there's no easy way to cut this. Diogo Jota's death will send shockwaves through the football fraternity for months to come. And I believe that one of the things that his death does do, though, is that it makes football pale in significance to life itself. Because we all get worked up over watching our respective teams play and hoping that they win, and the rivalries that abound, and of course, the friendly banter that goes on between sports fans across the world. But I think his death will bring everybody onto a common plate right now, where we all understand that in the context of life, in the context of how we live our lives on a daily basis and eventually die, that football is not really as important as we think it is. And it's something that, speaking personally now, that once the season starts, every single time I turn on the television to watch Liverpool play, Diogo Jota would be part of what I think about while watching Liverpool play. And I'm sure for a lot of fans, I've seen Manchester United fans, I've seen Liverpool fans, I've seen Bernardo Silva, who also plays for Portugal, grieving about the loss of Diogo Jota. So there's one thing that all the football fans, regardless of which teams you support, will come together in this coming season to celebrate the life and to remember the accomplishments and the person and the human being, the father, the husband, the player of who Diogo Jota was.
I remember looking on as a rival supporter, right? And when he just joined Liverpool, and I was wondering, why Liverpool went for him, because they already had the trio in Firmino, Mane, and of course Mohamed Salah. But he did so well at the beginning, and he seemed to have the character just fit right in, which he did.
Yeah, because look, one of the things, when he joined Liverpool, there was still Sadio Mane, there was still Firmino, there was still Salah. And many people didn't believe that he could actually break up that triumvirate of players who had done so well for Liverpool over the years, winning the Champions League, winning the Premier League in the COVID season, and winning the FA Cup as well, I believe. So him coming in and actually was able to fit in for a Mane or a Salah or a Firmino, because he could play right across the front three. And as I said before, he was lethal. I mean, had it not been for one of the things, the only downside to his career at Liverpool, I believe, was the fact that he got injured so often. And not injuries that were self-inflicted. They were injuries that were inflicted by opposing players. I mean, the last one, where a player fell on top of him and hyperextended, I think, his knee or something, and he was out for like 3 months. But then he comes back and he continues scoring goals. Not as efficiently as he did before, because I think he lost an edge there. I think he was out for so long. But I remember his last goal for Liverpool against Everton in what has now become this contentious Merseyside derby, where the match seemed to be heading for a draw. And he comes on late and then finds a winner. That is how many Liverpool fans will remember him. We also remember him for things like those 2 goals against Arsenal in the Carabao Cup semi-final, I think it was in 2022. And of course, Liverpool going on to win the title. And of course, that hat-trick against Atalanta back, I think, 3 or 4 years ago now, where, it was going to be a tough match all around, because Atalanta is a tough team. And he scored 3 goals, the hat-trick in Liverpool's 5-0 win in that game. So, there have been significant moments in which he's come to the fore for Liverpool and done extremely well as a replacement for anyone across the front three. So he was a significant player within the Liverpool construct, even though he was coming off the bench for most of the time. But whenever he came off the bench, you can talk to Arsenal fans. I mean, I was actually on Facebook this morning with a couple of Arsenal supporters, and they said when Liverpool was playing Arsenal, whenever Jota came off the bench, they were filled with dread, because invariably he would find a way to score. That was the kind of player he was for Liverpool. And of course, 65 goals in 138 games, I think, for Liverpool, tells you, and in the context of the fact that he was out for so many times because of injury, you can only just imagine, had he had better fortune with injuries, how many other goals he would have scored for Liverpool. So he was a significant player as a super sub and as a starter for Liverpool. And I think he'll be significantly missed by the club now. And the fact is that I know Liverpool were trying to get Isak or Etikite, and now they probably would have to go for a third forward, somebody to replace Jota, because he was almost indispensable in what he brought to that team.
Leighton, we're hearing that Liverpool Football Club will retire the number 20.
Yeah.
And you did mention before that they're now in a pretty unique situation, because this hasn't happened to one of their players while they're representing Liverpool. What else could the club do, you feel?
Wow, that's a tough one, Don, because I think retiring his jersey, immortalizing his jersey, is a significant accolade to a player who's contributed so much to the club. Does he deserve a statue? I'm not sure just yet, because there have been so many other great players for Liverpool over the years. That's the nature of the club. That's one of the reasons why Liverpool is the most successful club in England. John Barnes, Ian Rush, Peter Aldridge, Kenny Dalglish. I mean, the names go on forever. Kevin Keegan, Steve Highway. There are so many players who you could say deserve it more than Diogo Jota. But the thing about it, I think retiring his jersey is one thing. I'm sure they'll come up with something else. I'm not quite sure what they'll probably do. Maybe they'll name a standoff for him or something, or a block of seats, or something that to immortalize his memory. But for right now, I think it's going to be one of those decisions right now that's going to probably take some time in coming, because of the nature of the beast. Liverpool has had so many great players over the past 100 years, that doing something that will stand out is going to be very difficult for them to be able to find.
But at the very least, in support of the family who remain behind.
I'm sure they'll lend support in some other ways. I mean, I'm not quite sure what the situation is with his contract or anything, but I'm sure that the club, given the nature of the Liverpool family, because Liverpool, anybody who follows the club will tell you, and I'm sure it's the same for some other clubs as
Mhm.
well. It's not just about the football; it's about the cohesion between the players, the chemistry between the players, the fact that they're a family. I'm sure that they'll find something worthy to honor the memory of Diogo Jota. What it is, I honestly can't tell you right now. I'd have to think about it for a while. But I'm not quite sure how they would further honor his memory. But I'm sure they'll come with something that would be noteworthy and something that the fans will be happy about.
Leighton, thanks for joining us for this segment. I know that you're going to be staying with us for the next segment, but we're up on our break here on the SportsMax Zone. It really puts into perspective about life and how it really matters, especially in the moment. And we here at the SportsMax Zone just sending condolences to his wife, his children, all his family and friends and supporters at Liverpool Football Club. May the soul of Diogo Jota rest in peace. We take a break.
Give me 10 seconds, dog. I
Yep.
just want to read this song. The song that Liverpool fans sing for him every single match. Oh, he wears number 20. He will take us to victory. And when he's running down the left wing, he'll cut inside and score for LFC. He's a lad from Portugal, better than Figo, don't you know? And oh, his name is Diogo.
We take a break. Back with more. Stay with us.